Good morning. Thank you everyone for coming. This is my presentation. So, in July of 2023, a study found that 65% of Americans, or 212 million people, play video games at least once a week. My name is Dalton Gray, and I'm one of these 212 million people. One thing I can tell you is that video games have never made me more violent. Where's the clicker? But that's not to say video games haven't affected me in any way. I've been playing video games my whole life, starting with my sister's hand-me-down DS when I was 6, to getting a pre-built PC at the start of freshman year. One of my earliest memories with video games was with the Lego Pirates of the Caribbean video game on my dad's Xbox 360. In one of the levels, you have to fight and defeat the Kraken, just like the film. And I remember getting frustrated at that part because you would constantly get sucked into the Kraken's mouth and die. One day, I got so frustrated that I threw my dad's controller on the ground and broke it. Of course, that was 8 years ago, and I like to think I've matured since, but I still think about it now. For years, people have held a negative stigma towards games. A lot of people view them as a waste of time from activities that could be more mentally challenging or physically demanding. Some people have even entertained that video games can cause mental problems, and a lot of news outlets blame video games for tragic events such as school shootings. But not everyone views it this way. Some people view video games as a positive to your mental health rather than a negative, and a lot of schools are beginning to use video games as a way to educate and teach students. So in this sea of opinions, I wanted to find my own. I never seen video games have a negative effect on my mental health, but the growing contention among people had made me begin to question that. Was that incident during that Lego game just a stint of immaturity, or could there have been more going on in my head during that moment? What extent do video games have on the mental health of people? To figure this out, I bought a webcam, turned on my computer, and started streaming. For those who don't know, streaming is a form of digital media where a person or group of people record themselves live doing any form of activity, particularly playing video games. It's like a TV show if it didn't have a set runtime and you could interact with the host. Some people may choose to not show their face while streaming or use a digital avatar. I personally thought my emotions and personality would be conveyed more easily if people saw my face, which is why I bought the webcam. The streaming process was very easy to set up, but it proved difficult to get an audience to watch me. So what I was left with were 30+ hours of me just sitting in front of a webcam and playing video games. Using this, I can compare it to the research I had learned from the topic, because I knew I wouldn't learn anything without proper research. And what I found was very interesting. First off, let's start with the positives. I was very surprised to learn there are many positive effects that can be observed while playing video games. Many studies have found that video games can help improve memory, give you faster reaction times, and puzzle-solving skills. Some studies have also found that video games can help reverse cognitive decay in elderly players. Many online games which involve interacting with other players can help kids develop social skills and bonds with others. Many strategy games which involve you thinking ahead show improved planning abilities both in-game and in real life. Now, video games sound pretty amazing for your brain, right? Well, no. There are many negative effects that have been observed while playing video games. Some of these can include increased stress, decreased tolerance, mood swings, exhaustion, and irritability. In some extreme cases, people can get addicted to video games, and people who are addicted to other things can get addicted to video games more easily. Now video games sound pretty scary, and you might be wondering, did I experience any of these negative effects while streaming? The answer is no. One important thing to know is the negative effects I just described most often occur to players who were playing 8 to 10 hours a day with very few breaks. I would only end up streaming for around 3 hours a day, which gave me plenty of time in the day to do other things besides play video games. Video games are meant for entertainment, but like any other form of entertainment, it can become a source of rage rather than fun. And I think it's factually incorrect to say that video games don't affect your mental health in any way, because they do, and my research proved that. But it all depends on how you manage it. But that's only one part of the story, because many people play video games competitively. Competitive gaming, often referred to as esports, has grown a lot over the years, and I wanted to see if there were any effects that could be observed in this environment. So to do this, I hosted a tournament at the school for the fighting game Super Smash Bros., and I got around 13 participants. What I found was interesting. I was surprised to see the level of sportsmanship present during the tournament. Nobody ever got mad or appeared mad. People were just playing the game and trying to play the game well. People would say, "Good game," after a match, or encourage other players while watching other matches. And I think a lot of this behavior can be connected back to some things I learned while researching this topic. You see, a lot of studies had found that people who play games with others, friends or strangers, would be less likely to develop any negative effects that were observed while playing video games. It's no surprise why so many people play video games with their buds after a long day to wind down. We're social species, after all, and playing video games with your friends is the best way to mentally distance yourself from any negative effects you could have while playing video games. So what does one make of all this? Well, what I learned the most from this project is that the mind is very, very confusing. Not everything we do will make sense, and even if we could understand every neuron in our head, we still won't properly understand why we do negative or harmful things. More than anything, this project showed me that yes, video games do impact your mental health in some way. To what extent depends on how long you play and how much you play. Do video games cause violence? No, absolutely not. Can video games affect your mental health negatively? Yes, of course they can. It all depends on self-awareness, and it takes a lot of self-awareness to know when you need to step up and take a break. So when you do decide to game on, just know that your mind is playing its own game as well. Thank you. Any questions? No questions? Yes, Wyatt.
How do you feel about personality, a sort of personality playing this sort of game? Do you feel like it might get way too ragey or?
Like my personality?
Yeah, because personality can affect too.
I mean, I don't think I have a very angry personality. I noticed when I was playing video games, I would just kind of focus on the game, which meant I wouldn't like talk as much, but that's just me focusing. It's just so I can play the game well. Yes?
What game or games did you play, and will you continue streaming?
I mainly played a lot of Fortnite while streaming. That was the main game, but I also played Minecraft and some other games. I actually played the Lego game I mentioned while streaming. And I actually did like streaming a lot. It was a nice way. It kind of motivated me to play games longer, I guess. And so I think in the future I will start streaming again.
Did you beat the Kraken?
Yes, I did.
Good job.
Thank you.
Is that it? Okay.